In this video, I'm going to run you through the top syrups that I think you need to make rum cocktails. Now, it doesn't matter if you're at home and you're a home bartender and you make cocktails for yourself there. It doesn't matter if you're in a pub or a bar. I think these are the syrups that you need. Now, what do we think about strawberry syrup? Do you think that's going to get a big mention, or do you think I'm not going to bother with it? What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments below right now. Hey, rum friends, welcome back. But if you are new, if you've never seen this before, then hello, my name's Steve the Barman, and here on my yellow channel, I mainly focus on rum experiments and rum education. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But don't forget, I've now got 5 other YouTube channels, all with their own specific niches and specific topics. So if you want to check out any more different stuff, from cocktails to rum to different rum cocktails, then make sure, and brandy, make sure you check out the links in the description below. Now, if you've watched my liqueur video, this will follow virtually identical theme. I've broken this down into 4 different categories. Essentially the essentials, there we go, we're going with it. The essentials, the non-negotiables that I think you need, up to the fun luxuries that you might buy to put fun riffs on cocktails. But let's start off with essentials. And the first one is, I've got 2 different things here, but essentially your 2-to-1 sugar syrup. Now, a lot of people might go down a 1-to-1 ratio. I honestly, if you're just starting out, 2-to-1. Now, if you're going out, if you're buying your syrups, stuff like this, Monnin's cane sugar, you can't go wrong with this. Easy to get all around the world. You can. They've even got, if I've got it here, they've even got their sort of dark cane sugar. What I do, because I go through a lot of it for cocktail masterclasses, I actually make my own for that. And this is essentially unrefined. If you're in the UK, it's Billington's, which is proper cane sugar, as opposed to Silver Spoon, which is actually sugar beet. This is cane sugar syrup, a 2-to-1. I firmly believe for most recipes that you will encounter with rum cocktails, going back through the ages, through Don the Beachcomber, Beach Bum Berries remixed, Martin Coates Smuggler's Cove, it's all about a 2-to-1 syrup. Until you get more used to cocktails and you want to balance, then you can start playing with 1-to-1. But to start off with, definitely a 2-to-1 syrup. Now that would go into your daiquiris, your Mai Tais, your mojitos, all of those kind of cocktails there. But we have to talk about this for the next one, because the Mai Tai is ultimately probably one of the biggest cocktails that rum fans like to make. So we need our orgeat syrup. Orgeat, let's go orgeat. Old school running joke for you kind of newcomers there, but or your orgeat syrup like that. Essentially an almond syrup with a hint of orange flower water in it. It's a non-negotiable. It gets used quite a lot in other different cocktails as well. But for the Mai Tai, which is a must for most rum enthusiasts, you know, you do kind of need this in your locker. And then the final one I'm going to pull out in kind of the essentials category is actually your honey mix. Again, I go through tons of this. You can make it yourself at home quite easily, but I do prefer this because I don't use that much of it, and the water we have in the UK is pretty hard, so it does goes off. So we can basically, I buy it in because this will be shelf stable for absolutely flipping ages. So 2 parts honey to 1 part water, just to make it more runny. And of course, if you do make it for yourselves at home, you can play about with different honeys. You know, your posh honeys, your manuka honeys, to your acacia honeys, to your orange blossom honeys. You can go for your life and put different riffs on it that way. But for me, for the volumes that I do, I just buy it in, and it does the job superbly well. Now for the next category is like the almost essentials that I think you need. Now again, these will get featured from time to time, but they're not even remotely close to being called for as much as what these are. Okay, so the first one we're going for is like a passion fruit syrup. Now Don the Beach, Beach Bum Berry and Martin Cape both do kind of use funkin. They kind of do, I haven't got it to hand because it's masterclasses down there, but you know the brand that I use on the green channel and the red channel of this, it's essentially the same thing as that. The funkin is 90% passion fruit pulp puree with 10% sugar. These are, and you would use that with sugar syrup, okay? So they kind of make their own. The problem with that is the funkin isn't long life after opening, so it does go off. So it'll keep in your fridge for a few weeks. The products I use like this, and the Monnin, the free, if I got a Monnin, yeah, again, it's not passion fruit, but it's a similar kind of vibe. These are 50% fruit to 50% sugar, and even though they say use within a month on them. Sorry, best before a month, not use. Use by is very different. Best before, you can keep these on your shelf as long as you're not in a warm environment for well over a year. So I would use that brand of passion fruit, but you can use passion fruit syrup as well. This is very vibrant. Monin's is slightly sweeter. So it's up to you. And while I was going off to get the next bit, I thought it'd be rude. It's right there. It's down the other end of the studio, down there. But that's the brand that I use there. The close-up's not on, but you will see what I mean. 50% fruit, 50% sugar. I go through tons of this and it lasts for flipping ages. And just to clarify one other thing, yes, in the US, you won't get this. You will get the Monin's Le Fruit quite easily in the US, but in Europe, this isn't just a UK product. This is a European product. It's actually made in Italy and it's all over Europe. So you'll get that quite easily around Europe. Now, the next one we're going to come on to is the coconut. Again, I almost put coconut in the top tier, almost, but then, you know, it's only called for in coconut cocktails. It's not a mass cocktail ingredient. It's just in specific cocktails. So you could sort of say the same for that, but you know, I think those syrups are more called for than what this is. Now, there's a lot of thing between cream of coconut and coconut cream. The big difference is that coconut cream is essentially coconut that's been chilled down and they skim off that top layer, and that is the most authentic. But don't forget, that is unsweetened. Okay, so you'll need to add sugar to that. Cream of coconut, which is what this is, which is what Real is, and even Coco Lopez. People think Coco Lopez in the tin, you know, is vastly superior. It's exactly the same. In fact, you know, the Real actually has more coconut content in it than Coco Lopez. However, the product I go for is the ODK stuff. It's just more manageable. It's more authentic in coconut flavor. Again, I know you won't get this around the US, but definitely all over Europe, easily to get. And it's even more manageable because, you know, that does go a little bit thick and a little bit solid. This actually kind of makes it very, very manageable to come out of there. So you do need a cream of coconut purely because it's long life and shelf stable. If you've got the time to do coconut cream and blend it with yourself with sugar, do that. But for a lot of people, that's just too much faff. Get yourself some cream of coconut. And then the last one, I'm going to put that back actually, because I would actually go more puree than anything. But the last one in this series is definitely a grenadine, if you like. Now I've spoken about this before, I do use a straight up pomegranate syrup for my grenadine. Again, you can make it yourself with pomegranate molasses and do your own thing there. Think, you know, if you're buying out and out grenadine, especially here in the UK and Europe, it's actually more like red fruits. Whereas old school, we're talking pomegranate. So hence, I don't know why Monin do a pomegranate and a grenadine. I don't know why they just don't call this grenadine, because it is, you know, you can see where if the close-up was on, you'd see that says grenade there, which means grenadine. So I don't know why they do both, but for me, I go as traditional as I possibly can. So I go for an out and out pomegranate syrup. Now the next category I'm going to call is like a bit more in depth, and you'll have to excuse my ginger syrup. It's been out here in the cold. And you know, it's kind of just needs re-immersing in some hot water and that will kind of dissolve again. But these are my three a bit more in depth. Hibiscus syrup, I love hibiscus daiquiris and that kind of thing. I love putting a slightly small hibiscus or of that kind of floral fruity vibe on some cocktails. We've got cinnamon, which again does get called for a little bit in cocktails and actually may deserve to go up a tier. It may do, but it's not called for that much, if you like. Then the final one is ginger. Again, you know, you could argue that actually these two are above the hibiscus, but for me, in my use, I put them there because I do probably go liqueurs more than anything for these kind of things. So, you know, they're there. They're not essentials. They're not luxuries either. You can read between the lines, but this is where the next category comes. Because in this category, these are actually syrups that I probably use a lot more than what I do these, because they are fun riffs. For instance, the winter spice. If the close-up was on, you would see it, but it's run out of room on the card, so I need to do that. But if the close-up was on, you'd kind of see it's cinnamon, it's ginger, it's clove, it's nutmeg, and chili. And for me, just puts a fantastic kind of different riff. When cocktails call for a cinnamon syrup, 9 times out of 10 these days, I do go for this winter spice. And especially a combo like I love doing is a honey winter spice. I would do 2 parts honey syrup to 1 part winter spice, and that gives me like a hot honey syrup, if you like. And it is outstanding. So I love that. So for me, the winter spice is actually right up here. But for a lot of you, it will be a fun luxury. Now, before I reveal my final 2, let's touch on the strawberry syrup. And you might have guessed now that I'm not going to feature this. Now, for me, the only times really that you need a strawberry syrup or a strawberry puree in this is if you make strawberry daiquiris and strawberry mojitos. I can't think of another time where I've pulled for strawberry in cocktails. I might have to visit that more on the green channel and use strawberry a bit more there, but it's one of those flavors that I absolutely love, but weirdly just doesn't get called for that much. So for me, strawberry definitely is a fun luxury, unless you really love strawberry daiquiris and strawberry mojitos. So look, the final 2 for me here, and this will be quite amusing because I've not even pulled out the vanilla, but I can't think of the last time vanilla was actually called for in a tiki recipe, and it didn't call for like a liquor 43 or anything like that. So vanilla again doesn't feature for me, but there is a big heavy vanilla influence in that winter spice there. So these are my 2, but if I could be brutally honest, this is a massively, massively fun luxury, and it's only like pure love. My love for guava over strawberry puts it here. But you know, I know for a lot of you it's not, but guava daiquiris, honestly, guava daiquiris are my favorite flavored daiquiri by a million miles. I love them, but I'm going to resist the temptation. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put these 2 in here, the chili and the mango. Amazing, you know, riffs. They are riffs. No, they're never called for in cocktails. They are riffs. Now, to finish this video up, there's probably one glaring omission that I use quite a lot and sometimes gets called for a little bit in cocktails, but actually it isn't a mass-produced product, and that is a pineapple puree. We have got quite a few cocktails in the UK where you would muddle pineapple rings or pineapples. If you try muddling the pineapple, that's a bit of a pain. Now, you can use pressed pineapple juice, or for you guys in the US, unsweetened pineapple juice. Essentially the juice of, in the UK, we get bottles of it quite easily, 6 pineapples from every supermarket. But for vibrancy, I do kind of like a pineapple puree. It's a complete luxury, depending on the type of cocktails that you make. You could even make painkillers and pina coladas with that. You could, that and that. It makes phenomenal. It's a very different and a very intensely flavored pina colada or a painkiller, but that's there. But as I say, if you think I've missed anything, if there's any glaring errors, make sure you comment below.